Welcome to Warblock. This is turn 3 of the opening of the M5 highway. You've watched the other two videos. That's nice. You'll notice, you'll know that it's been quite exciting as far as it's fixed. This is the original version. As far as little square things on hexagonal maps can get exciting, but it's been quite exciting for those in the know. I wonder what it looks like for those not in the know. Probably like a huge accounting sheet or something. Right. So, just to recap, we've got three fronts. Western, the Hezbollah, and the northeastern. This front's been fairly static with failed assaults here and here, with the sort of realization that they are massive. Now, as a small note, they are massive, yes, we accept that, and it's an issue of the multiple factors for irregulars. But the thing to bear in mind is these are 1, 2, 3s, which in theory are exceptional units in the sense that they are not normal units, and obviously it's just not a faffing around, but in my mind's eye the justification is that they're fanatical in the sense that this is a desperate battle, and so they are, that's what that reflects. And so when you get the multiplications, it comes up quite high. A regular unit, for example, these ones which are more regular, 116, would only be 8, etc., etc. I mean, the jury's still out on that, but just as sort of a reflection on something that happened in the previous video. Also, we attacked the artillery and failed. Now, I've actually made two adjustments. Firstly, I realised what the error was, and it was actually fundamental because it was using the strength factor of units, not their defensive. So it was saying that this was 3 and one underneath it was 3, so their total was 6, which means that they don't get their bonus because they were more than 5, whereas really they should have got 2. But I also put in the other bonus that if they're artillery on their own and they're being attacked by ground forces, essentially, hopefully that will work, the logic on that, but it should do. Doesn't factor in airstrikes and things like that, but that's irrelevant. Basically, they use their own rules, sort of. But basically, you're at 20%. So they would be ordinarily, if this unit was stacked with them, for example, they would be 1, 1, 3, a total of 5. But because they're all on their own, there's no infantry support, motorised support, or any sort of support, they're only worth 0.2 each, so they'd be worth 0.4. So going down from being worth 6, which was an error, down to 2, which was what they should normally have been, and down to 0.4. So even one of these would have probably been able to get a 7 to 1. So we'll deal with that later. So anyway, here it was fairly static. We've managed to sort of push in across this river with sort of synchronized help from the Syrians there, making good ground here. But it's just slow across the board. And here we lost a tank unit, and this is at 50%. And we managed to get some engineers in here, which hopefully will be able to remove the mines at the very least. And then we can move these in there to remove the road obstacles next turn. But basically, it always looks fairly good, and then you suddenly realise, well, we've been taking a lot of casualties. I mean, we've taken casualties on these units, I think we're taking something on that. We've lost a unit there. We're taking casualties on a lot of this stuff, and can't really afford it. Now, on the side of the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham forces, they had a large sort of reinforcement block which ran all the way along this road, which actually worked quite quickly because it only took them 2 turns, and they've reinforced heavily over here. The only thing I was thinking about is that it means that they haven't reinforced heavily down here, or reinforced heavily down here. So whatever happens here and here, it's sort of, well, they haven't reinforced these areas with the reserves that they did have. I think the reserves are good going over here, but I think we've got to also consider that these are not strong lines. You can see that they're fairly sporadic. The thing, I kind of like these lines because you don't need these complete blocks of lines like that. Clearly this, rather perforated line is just as good, and one of the reasons being is if you do try to break through in a silly way, you become vulnerable to massive assaults, and you're quite often on your own. Any counter on its own is vulnerable, but they're not massively vulnerable. These ones are because they're ones. The rockets are because they're ones. But these threes, you still need quite a lot to stack up. But once you start getting casualties like here, he's only worth 5, so even this one attacking will be at 2 to 1. If I get 2 of them, that'll be 4 to 1. If I can get 3 units on that, that'll be like 6 to 1, etc., etc. And that's just now. If they get any more damage, they'll be even more vulnerable. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. But so it's looking fairly bleak. I think the next thing to consider is where we're going to put the airstrike. I haven't actually thought of that, but I think it's going to be fairly straightforward. Very obvious that we should really put them on these stacks here. And this stack's possibly less important, but it's got air defense, so I might not go for that. This one's 3, you see, this one has got air defense and anti-tank, which is a pain, but this one's got 3 irregulars, and they're the ones that are fairly painful, so I'm going to go for 3 against that, 4 against that. That makes sense. I'm going to concentrate on that. I don't think I want to I want to go for the big stack because this is a big important area, so let's see how much damage we can do. Well, not brilliant, but not too bad either. 1.4, 2.85, 1.2. I mean, it all adds up. Well, now we've got 0 and no effect. Anyway. So we've done some damage against these units, which means our offences will be slightly weakened. It's the name of the game. But with regards to pushing forward, well, I think the first thing that I'd like to do maybe is get rid of these mines. And hopefully this will work. So I'm going to clear these mines here. As you can see, they've got a density of 1, so we should be able to. So there's no mines in there now. Yep, that worked. So, let's put these guys in there for the next turn. I really don't know what I want to do. I want to push all this forward, but I think the most important thing is to leave them stacked in a way that they're not vulnerable. And that is sort of more important, I think, at this moment. So I'm going to come back to that bit in the end. Here we've got some problems in the sense that these are now really tough. I'll push this guy back first. There's one depression. We'll clear all of this up. I wouldn't mind pushing him out of the way. It's just these ones are really frustrating because they're going to do a 16. I'm going to assume and get rid of him. I'm going to go for this. I'll leave these two guys here. I'm going to put all my rockets, well I've only got 2 of them, onto this. Let's see that. 0, 0. And then I'm going to put everyone into there. In fact, what I'm going to do is this. So I'm going to have 2 rocket attacks. I don't need that, do we? 0 damage. 0.6. And I'm just going to go full out. I mean, this is about as good as it's going to get, so let's see what happens. Exchange. Let's see if we can push these guys out. One to one, that's what we had before on the other one, but we won on that one. So, push these guys back. Push these here and try and push that guy back. Try and DR, which gives us the opportunity to strike there. But I don't want to. I don't want to lose. Here, well, I'm going to coordinate this attack with the Hezbollah ones, just because it sort of makes sense. Let's put all the artillery we can on this. Well, they're already quite beaten up, aren't they? 4.65. He's beat up as well. They're all beat up. So let's go for 2-2. I think we can get quite a lot in there. Do we really want to? Let's try 1 on each first. Okay, so we've routed a unit. And there's this guy. Okay. I'll move here to protect the artillery. Well, we killed a lot of units, but the thing is, if the rules had been working, then these artillery pieces would have been gone and the situation would have been very different. So there's been a real change in things there. We can continue this attack with these two units, but I'll wait till his Hezbollah turn is done. This one. So what I'd rather do is this. I don't think it will work. And I didn't mean in that way. I wanted to move him back and then move into there and attack that. Okay. Well, these guys are going to move as far forward as they can. I'm going to support them with that. Here, we're going to try we've got that 1, so it should be good odds. 6 to 1, 5 to 1 DR, okay. Now we really want to get rid of that now. You know, I don't hanging around there anymore, sure, leave him in that. I'm just not thinking very well. Okay, let's put some artillery on it. In exchange. Well, that's not good. That's not good at all. Right. We're going to have to bring something back down this way. There's 1. I'm going to risk it. Yeah, it's all gone a pear shape down here, really. Artillery units. My God, we have to support that. And now we've got to shore up this front line. Well, I really want to get rid of that. It's got no depressions. Point 1. I'm going to hope we can win here. DR. All tough units. But I can only really do a defensive move like this. I messed it up. No, I didn't. Okay, I've got some engineers at least. And the engineers can build a bridge. But I think we're better off getting them over the river. So, absolute failure everywhere. Absolute chaos. Here. I want to push forward, but I want to leave a good strong line. What I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on my line. I want to push him out the way first, and him if I can. So I've got two artillery, two rocket pieces here. I really want to push him out. So let's fire on him. The rockets are so valuable and you get such rubbish results. Right, we can go there. Something on at least we've got something there. It's not really working out. We need to win this. Exchange. Okay. Well. We just have to live with this whole disaster. Right. So it gives us a fairly stable line all along. And we'll try and take that rocket unit out. I think we have to. We have to think ahead on this. 1.8, that was good. No effect was not. But 1.3, 4.7. Right. Just too many of them. Anti-tank. Can we do this guy? Let's see, in fresh unit. Please win. Deal. Now that earthworks works for us because we can now move to there. Oh look, what joy. Exchange. It hasn't gone well. DR, but where did they go? Yes. Right. I don't think we can really afford any other attacks of any sort anywhere. I could possibly get both of these onto that. Possibly. Let's try. They're going across the river, but 2 or 3 to 1. 3 to 1. Or 5 to 1 and a DR. Okay, where did they go? And they went to there. That's convenient. Got 2 movement. Can we move him to there? Yes. So that gives us a very nice position for the sort of thing that you can do when you don't roll exchanges all the time. A DE. Now these are not brilliant. 6.1. We're going to lose a lot of artillery, I think. But we can attack this guy with these. To see how that works. Absolute chaos. And we eliminated something. Now that was good because they were both practically brand new. So we've just got this one threat here which we can't do anything about. We've got as built up a line as we possibly can with a big gap there. That's quite convenient. Okay, end turn. Well, it's a mess. I think the one thing to consider is that we do actually have a lot of that urban area. We've got three out of 5 of those hexes, or Dahra Sheikh Ali. So we've made headway. We've obliterated that unit that would have taken out the artillery, that sector there, but in the process we've actually lost quite a lot ourselves. We've had our line broken up. We're running the risk of this sort of suicidal unit going in and taking out this artillery now, with this unit taking out this artillery. This should be quite safe. But along here it could be devastating. We still haven't managed to take this unit out. 3 and 3. 1 and 5. 1.8, 1.1, 2, 2. Okay, so rocket attacks first. They're going to build some earthworks, I think. 2 lots of engineers. We could build earthworks and mines in there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we really need to pull these guys back. And these guys. Now what do we want to get with our rockets? We're reduced against armour, but this stack is very tempting. If we can get lucky against that stack. What do we want to do? We want to try and eliminate that or that? I'm going to go for that. Not brilliant, but they're both sort of half strength now. 4. Let's go for the 2. Right. 6.7. Well, that's a no-brainer, I think. We could go for that. 2 and 2. I think we're better off going for that. Oh, that is a big one. Right. Still got to protect that, but push into there. And to protect this flank from there. Should have gone that one. Not going to get there. So we've got a nice line along here. That's basically out of the game. Done a bit of damage there, but we've got this stack here. Now overall that's going to be worth 5, so we're worth attacking, but here it's very iffy really. I think it's their overall strength. We won't get our factors because their overall strength is 6, even though they're down. We can't move there and attack. We could move there and attack, but here I mean, they're so wounded everywhere. There's 2. So let's see how this works. Because they should be at like 0.36 or something, and we should be at 5. Because we're depressed, it'll be 2.5. So 2.5 against 0.3. 2.5 against 0.3. To see how that works. So it's actually working. We've actually managed to get these artillery pieces damaged now. And he's just sitting there saying, come on, and everyone is wounded. Everyone is routing and running away. Look at the chaos down here. And this is now a solid line. We've got this guy here who can similarly take Cal Igea and attack this unit. Should remove the engineers. 7-1. Yeah. So we now hold this side of the river. We could possibly advance with these units, but we don't want to let our artillery. So we want to keep that front line. Here it's very detailed. Slight damage on the armour, slight damage there. But here, can we do something with this armour? So this is what we really want to do something against. If we can make some sort of impact against that, we might be onto a winner. So I can move there and there and get even more of a surround. And let's just put everyone in there. Oh, look at that, a 1-to-1. And we routed one of them. That was because they were stacked up as two, so it was a real tough one, because their base was 8, so we didn't get that bonus. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I do look at the rules every now and then and try and figure it out. Here, see, the thing is, because they're stacked up, there's no easy target apart from that. They're worth 2. You can very possibly move these 2 stacks into that sort of position and do some damage against these engineers. Or leave them there and recover. And I think the recovering fatigues will be almost more important than anything else. So almost leaving all of this in place. But we've got some artillery here that hasn't been used. So anything here that's on the brink of routing. Not really, but these would be quite nice to hit. But these might be better to hit because they're infantry. That's 6. Nice damage against their rockets. Not enough to hit really. Here, let's go for some earthworks. Hopefully it will work, fingers crossed. Yep. And some mines. Yep. So the first effective use of engineers in the game, but we now got the line from the Regiment 46 Fortress to this sort of area, which is all quite nice. Can't move any further. I haven't done anything with these guys, but we don't want to be attacking this big stack. You see, once they're stacked up like that, responsible stacking saves lives. Okay. It's only been 45 minutes, but I'm going to actually leave it at that. I'm not going to try and do sort of like half of the next turn, so I'll save turn 4 for another video. I'm getting quite excited about this video, this game, because essentially it's really tense. And we've got rid of a unit. Let's just get the little drawing tool out, because obviously we've pushed there, but we haven't managed to get them out of there. We've got a bit of a gap there, and we've got this sort of bizarre Hezbollah situation where we've sort of pretty much taken the river, and this front line is now advancing, but at what cost? So we've got our doubled line, but now he's at one, but this Syrians will go next. So stacking up double helps. But we've got chaos here, you see, so that's going to require something to take it, to deal with that. Now, even if it's airstrikes or artillery, we've got to deal with that. But generally speaking, we've advanced quite nicely. So if we look at the overall line, let's do it in blue. Generally speaking, I mean, we have pushed quite a way, and we're only this much away now from controlling the M5 highway. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that. I'll speak to you later. Cheerio.